Hello everyone, wishing you all an amazing and awesome day. In our previous class, we have discussed regarding water pollution. What is water pollution? What are the sources of water pollution? What are the harmful effects of the water pollution? How can we prevent the water pollution we have learned? Today, let us discuss regarding the soil pollution. So, what is soil pollution? What is the definition of the soil pollution? Let us learn about it. So, alteration of soil, alteration of the soil by addition or by removal that may leads to the reduced productivity of the soil, that is called as soil pollution. So, once again I would like to repeat it: alteration of the soil by addition, by adding it, and removal of the minerals, removal of the materials, removal of any sort. Removal of the materials that may lead to the reduced productivity, that is termed as soil pollution. So, how do we know that whether the soil is productive or not? We can see by the quality and the quantity of the product. By that we can identify whether the soil is having the productivity. So, based on the quantity and the quality of the product or the produce, we can find out. So, soil pollution, otherwise we can define it in other way also. So, contamination of the soil. It could be the solid waste, it could be the chemicals, it could be the fertilizers, it could be the pesticides, it could be anything of that sort. It could be solid waste, it could be of chemicals, it could be of pesticides, it could be of fertilizers. All these of reducing. If it is reducing the fertility of the soil, then we can term it as soil pollution. If it reduces the fertility of the soil, then we can term it as soil pollution. You can either learn this definition for the soil pollution, or you can learn the previous thing that which I have told, that alteration of the soil. By adding or removing the materials, that also you can define it. So now moving towards what are the sources of the soil pollution? Let us see. Now let us discuss what are the sources of soil pollution. What could be the sources of the soil pollution? So it could be chemicals. One of the sources is chemicals. A number of harmful chemicals that which is present in the industrial waste. We know that the industrial waste that which is being released, a number of harmful chemicals are present there. So it reaches to the soil through the water or through the acid rain, and it may lead to, all these chemicals lead to destruction of the soil or the reduces the fertility of the soil. Then the fertilizers. We know that addition of chemical fertilizers by man. For what? Why do the human being uses the fertilizers? To increase the yield. So, for what? They use it in an excess way. So, it also reduces the soil productivity. So, what happens because of that? When the soil productivity is being increased, there will be a decrease in the bacterial population and increasing its soil content. So, for a long period of time it goes such, and thus the productivity of the soil will be decreased. Then next is of pesticides. We know that pesticides like BHC, GDT, malathion, etc. we spray it on the crops. We do spray it on the crops, and thereby it will be polluting the soil also. When we are spraying over the crops, naturally it falls over the soil too. The next is of solid wastes. So we know that peelings of fruits, vegetables, ash paper, then the glass, then the plastics, leather, rubber articles, worn out clothes, then the material objects, cow dung, human excreta, all these common solid waste will be coming from the houses, coming from the industries, coming from the agricultural fields. All these will be in the many places that will be disturbing the productivity of the soil. The next is of radioactive substances. Radioactive substances, we know that the radioactive dust from mining, from the uranium processing, all these will be destroying the soil, destroying the fertility of the soil. Then other reasons of sources of the soil pollution is a poor drainage system due to the saline irrigation, due to the use of alkaline fertilizers, and it could be due to the wind-blown soils, Then it could be due to the soluble salts, due to the flowing water, it could be due to the faulty irrigation, it could be due to the overgrazing. All these leads to the decrease of the fertility of the soil, or it reduces the fertility contents of the soil. So these are all the sources of the soil pollution. Now let us learn the term soil erosion. What do you understand by soil erosion? We all know that the removal and thinning of the top fertile layer of the soil. So if the top fertile layer of the soil is being thinned or removal is taking place, then it is termed as soil erosion. Why does this soil erosion occurs? Due to deforestation and lack of protection against the wind, this soil erosion takes place. Okay, so major reasons of the soil erosion is that heavy rain occurs, what happens, and due to the overgrazing of the animals also soil erosion takes place. If heavy floods occurs, soil erosion takes place. Okay, so to avoid the soil erosion, we have to grow more and more trees, and also we have to plant more trees, as I have told you. Then we have to overgrazing of the animals, we should reduce those activities. Then only the soil, we can prevent the soil erosion. So soil erosion is that removal and thinning of the top fertile layer of the soil, that is termed as soil erosion. So now moving towards the harmful effects of the soil. What could be the harmful effects? It could be the chemicals, it could be the pesticides. So chemicals and the pesticides, this will be altering the basic composition of the soil. So the chemicals as well as the pesticides, they will be altering the basic composition of the soil. What happens through this? They may kill the soil organisms that which is necessary to maintain the fertility of the soil. Thereby what happens? The soil may grow toxic and it may affect the plant growth may affect due to it. Then another reason is that many pesticides will be reaching the humans via the food chains, and also that proves harmful. And next is that use of inorganic fertilizers. That also spoils the quality of the soil for the long run. Okay, inorganic fertilizers. That's what we are telling, that biofertilizers has to be used to compost and all. Then the radioactive substances that may also reach the human beings through the food chain, and also it is proved harmful for the human beings. Next is of solid waste, that which is making our surroundings dirty. We know that it will give the foul smell also, and from the huge heaps of the garbages that which is accumulated in and around our campus, that makes the people's life so miserable. So for that also we have to avoid that. Then salination of the soil, that also makes the soil infertile. Then soil erosion, as I have told you, so when the thin layer, the fertile layer is being removed, then there is no fertility in the soil, so that there will not be any good yield in that soil. So loss of vegetation occurs due to soil erosion. So soil erosion is occurring due to the overgrazing or due to the deforestation and all. So we have to avoid all those things. So these are the harmful effects that which is caused by the soil pollution. So it may affect the fertility of the soil. At the same time, it may affect the human beings too. Now let us see how to control the soil pollution. Have you ever thought how to control the soil pollution? Yes, you might have, isn't it? So as I have told you, due to the chemical fertilizers and all, the soil's fertility is being increased. So what can be used instead of chemical fertilizers, the pesticides and all? We can use the biofertilizers, the biomanures. Manures can be used instead of the chemical fertilizers. So thus we can control, we can have the control to a certain limit. We cannot control fully, by because sometimes if we are not adding the proper amount of chemical fertilizer, sometimes we may not get good yield. So to get the good yield, only the farmers are adding the chemical fertilizers and all. So to certain limit, if we are adding more and more biofertilizers, if we are using more and more manures, then we can control, we can have a control, or we can decrease the uses of the chemical fertilizers, and thus we can control the soil pollution. So biopesticides can be used instead of spraying other chemicals and all. So it may not harm the human being. Next method to control is that solid wastes like papers, waste items, metals, this glass, plastics, etc. We can recycle and we can use it again. Instead of dumping it, we can recycle and construct it or make it in such a way that we can recycle it and use away. So otherwise there will be a heap of garbages that it is accumulated here and there. So we can see when we go through the road and all, we can see a heap of good garbages, people dump it in various places. Then, and the other method to control is that mining techniques, all the mining techniques should be improved. Otherwise, the soil pollution may occur. Due to the mining also, what happens? Soil erosion may takes place. Soil erosion also can be prevented. How can we prevent the soil erosion? By terracing of sloping land of the hills, we can reduces the speed of the water, or by growing more and more trees, as I have told you. Afforestation. Okay, due to deforestation only the soil erosion occurs. So we can do afforestation. So avoid the deforestation, plant more, grow more trees, thus we can prevent it. And also we can prevent no need of grazing. So overgrazing of the animals also may lead to the soil erosion. So that also could be controlled to a certain limit. So these are all the controlling methods of the soil pollution. I hope that you might have understood what is soil pollution, what are the harmful effects of the soil pollution, the sources of the soil pollution, and how can we control the soil pollution. So tomorrow we will be dealing with an entirely a new topic, that is the very, very important topic of this natural resources, that is biogeochemical cycle. So today we will wind up our portion. So we have discussed regarding the air pollution, we have discussed regarding the water pollution, and today we have discussed regarding the soil pollution. So go through the NCERT text, read the NCERT text, underline the important points and make a note over it and read and learn. So thank you for being with me.